A group of cave divers and scientists explore a newly found cave system in Romania. However, rockfall blocks the exit, and after delving further into the cave, the group discover a pack of deadly creatures waiting for them. With their leader Jack having very strange side effects and with their numbers dropping, the group must delve even further into the cave, battle the creatures and hope for an exit. The movie opens up by showing us a mountain region in Romania, where a gathering of thieves enters a taboo region, where an aide shows they should ascend the Carpathian Mountains to arrive at their objective. After heaps of exertion, they track down an unwanted church with an exceptional entry that takes them to the sepulchres. Here, the men find a wonderful engraved workmanship showing peculiar winged devils. They've known about a mystery cave brimming with gold, yet they can't track down an entry, so they use explosives to open an opening in the ground, which obliterates one more gorgeous yet unpleasant piece of workmanship. Sadly, soon the whole church begins shaking and the floor breaks down, making the men fall underground and an avalanche to obliterate the structure, keeping the gathering covered under. Essentially, they've all made do. Hence they choose to look at the bizarre bat-like sound they continue to hear. Welcome to MovieLand. Subscribe for a bit of good luck and enjoy. After 30 years, a gathering of researchers started uncovering the site where the congregation used to be. They tracked down the cavern and notice there's a stream that expands somewhere inside it, so they choose to recruit a gathering of master pilgrims to explore. In the meantime, in Mexico, Tyler and his group of jumpers are searching for a submerged cave in Yucatan. They don't have a lot of karma and a large portion of the group surrenders sooner or later. However, Tyler stays until he tracks down it. He's somewhat priggish when he gets back to the boat. However, his sibling Jack reprimands him since his well-being should stop when the gathering calls time. Later at night, they get a call from specialist Nikolai, who needs to employ them to investigate the fold under the congregation ruins, promising it goes further than 19 miles and he needs to record everything. The group finds the idea charming and acknowledges the work. The next day, the group shows up at the investigation site, and keeping in mind that they had prepared their gear, Tyler sees Catherine, one of the researchers. He quickly goes to present himself to be a tease. However, he passes up on his opportunity because the cameraman Alex is there as well. At any rate, Tyler will flaunt his jumping gear. However, their discussion is intruded on when Nikolai presents Jack to Catherine, and both of them quickly hit it off due to their common interest in cave environments. An envious Tyler is abandoned and he sees Alex taking pictures of something peculiar, which ends up being the rest of a person that they track down in the cavern. At night, the groups of researchers and pilgrims get together to go over the data they have up until this point. There's a huge cave around 300 feet down, which they have named the Titan Corridor, with a sump that prompts a submerged path. They need to track down a dry cave someplace in the framework where they can camp out and the researchers can assemble tests. Since it's so enormous, they'll show up for 12 days. Endurance Master Top reminds everybody that they've as of now tracked down a body, so they need to regard the cavern and watch out. After the gathering, Nikolai tells Tyler and Catherine the story behind the cavern. It's said that the congregation worked to seal the cave as a showcase of God's defensive power. From what he can assemble from the messed up workmanship, the knights entered this cavern to fight evil presences. The following morning, the group starts advancing into the opening. The Titan Corridor is gorgeous, and the gathering promptly starts setting up their hardware for the investigation. They conclude Briggs will be the primary scout, and he happily bounces into the water, tracking down a bend up ahead after certain minutes of swimming. Utilizing his communicator, he tells the others he might lose his association soon and that will call them when he can set up the fiber optics on the opposite side. While the gathering pauses, Tyler communicates how troubled he is that he wasn't picked because he believes he's the best scout in the group, yet Jack adheres to his choice as a method for rebuffing Tyler for what he did in Mexico. While Briggs proceeds with his investigation, Catherine approaches Tyler and gives him a bug in a cylinder as an incidental award, and they bond over the reality the two of them need to be the initial ones to find something no one has at any point seen. The remainder of the group is beginning to contemplate whether they need to send somebody after Briggs because he's taking excessively lengthy. Yet at that point, Briggs calls and illuminates them he's viewed as the ideal spot to camp out at 2.4 miles from the fundamental cavern, so he sends them the sweep he took of the course with the sonar. Unexpectedly, Briggs is surprised when something runs past him, and he gets it to show to the group a peculiar-looking mole of some sort or another. The creature fights the hold and takes off. However, at that point, Briggs goes exceptionally pale and says there's something different there. The association begins. Coming up short and following a couple of moments, they lose contact with Briggs. The group faults it on signal issues. What's more, chooses to send Tyler and Sonar Master Stepp to fix the links while the others investigate the burrow. They're flabbergasted by all they see as they swim, including a Goliath creature skeleton. While the greater part of the group stays to concentrate on it, Jack and Top arrive at the base and find Briggs' hardware, however not the man himself. They call out for himself and Briggs answers from a little opening in the cave wall, where he's found old gear that demonstrates they aren't the primary people who visited this spot. In the meantime, Tyler and Stepp are dealing with the links submerged when they hear a peculiar commotion. Stepp thinks he saw one of the moles and goes to research, tracking down another sinkhole and the mole mercilessly dead on the ground, while Tyler finds the links look a bit stepped out of nowhere is gone after by a satanic-looking monster. Tyler can hear his shouting through the communicator and takes a stab at searching for him as the other groups join Jack and Top. Stepp battles against the animal's hold and his rebreather drifts away until it runs into the cavern's walls, in a flash detonating and causing a breakdown that obstructs the entry. The shockwave from the blast pushes Tyler to the surface, and he rapidly lets the others know what occurred. Jack and Top go to research, just to find the entry impeded shakes descending, so they need to rapidly swim back. At the base, Jack illuminates the group that they're caught and no one will consider them missing until the arranged 12 days pass. They need to discover a way. In any case, Briggs is anxious about the thought because clearly, something went after Stepp. Anyway, Tyler tells him Stepp presumably had a fantasy, and Top concurs their need should be to get by. Nikolai thinks the cavern is too huge to even consider investigating and they would get lost. The most astute thing is to endure those 12 days. However, Jack figures no hero on the planet would find them because the best ones are down here. Thereafter, Jack and Top go to search for an exit while the others rest. Briggs is irate with Tyler for how he minimized Stepp's demise and makes mean ramifications about their parting, so Tyler punches him. A fistfight results and Charlie has to stop as she reminds them to act. Catherine utilizes her chance to investigate tests she's taken from the dead mole and a lizard, and when he shows them to Nikolai, he validates her premonitions. There's an unusual parasite in the cavern. Minutes after the fact, Jack and Top track down an area with foaming water and signs more individuals were here previously. Then, at that point, they slither through an exceptionally tight passage, just to track down their direction impeded by a lot of white scorpions. Jack turns on a flare for a superior look furthermore, winds up going after an unusual monster that attempts to remove him, yet Jack figures out how to cut off the monster's hook to free himself. Seeing Jack's back has been seriously harmed, Top promptly takes him back to the base to tend to his injuries. Catherine investigates the paw and estimates all the creatures in the cavern used to be similar ones to the surface, yet after quite a while living down here, they developed and lost their sight in return for an elevated feeling of smell and hearing. Nikolai thinks they've tracked down an entirely different biological system, and Alex brings up the hook that seems to be the evil presence on the congregation's specialty. The researchers additionally note that the paw has a similar parasite inside it. Indeed, even with a hazardous animal out there, Nikolai figures they ought to stand by, yet all the same the group concurs they ought to continue and find an exit before they're eaten. As they investigate the cavern, they find a lot of human bones with teeth marks on them, affirming the monster is a hunter. Then, at that point, they cross the restricted passage and arrive at a fork in the way, so Jack goes for it. This pesters Briggs because they could simply utilize a sonar, yet when he checks the way Jack didn't take it. The sonar shows something moved. Terrified of what might be inside, Briggs eats his pride and acknowledges to follow Jack with the others. The gathering starts moving vertically by climbing a couple of walls. Furthermore, Jack shocks Top by saying he can smell water. After a second, Jack's legitimized when they find a stream. He tosses a flare in it to check for any monsters, and Alex records the entire cycle, which drives Jack uniquely crazy. He drives Alex away and drops the camera in the water before Alex calls him out for it. The words make Jack wake up from his resentment and he is sorry. A while later Jack declares they'll rest for 20 minutes and goes to sit alone on a stone as his body shakes in torment. Top sees this from far off and tells Tyler the medication isn't working. To Jack's unexpected shock, he can hear what everybody is talking about regardless of whether they are close to him. At that point, Tyler comes to mind his sibling, yet Jack swears he's fine and requests that he trust him. Whenever they're finished resting, the gathering gets back to the water while Jack keeps on concealing the agony he continues to feel. There are areas of strength for a here that continues to push them, and the group stresses the rapids could make them lost. An irate Jack contends this is the main accessible exit, so the group must choose the option to follow him. In any event, when Alex brings up that Jack has a desire to die. As the rapids remove the group, Catherine stalls out and Tyler can't help her because the current is in the manor. The water drives Tyler away from the gathering while Nikolai clings to a stone since he severely hurts his leg when the ongoing push him against the cavern wall. Ultimately Tyler closes up tumbling down a cascade, and Catherine before long follows him, making sense to Tyler that something had gotten her covered there. Then Charlie gets up to speed to them and illuminates them there's something strange in the water. At the point when Tyler checks, he finds a few bizarre eels with enormous teeth. He utilizes a flare to frighten them off, and at that point, they are reached by the other 3 people, who likewise light a flare to stamp their area. As Tyler and the young ladies swim towards the others, they hear Nikolai tumble off the cascade as well. Jack chooses to go searching for him, however at that point they hear Nikolai shouting since something is going after him. Catherine needs to help him, yet, Top reminds the gathering to persistently remain in a circle for security and stand by. Jack follows the path of blood and finds a tremendous terrible animal removing Nikolai, so he follows them. At the point when he re-emerges, he sees the animal taking a dead Nikolai through an exceptionally restricted section and sees inked letters on the animal's hand, meaning this monster used to be human. Back to the bunch, Alex feels something moving in the water and starts kicking like insane, which is by all accounts enough to frighten anything it was off. Ray shows and educate them regarding what occurred, causing Catherine faults him for Nikolai's passing since he never needed to leave the camp. The gathering keeps on moving and they hear strange sounds that they recognize as echolocation, demonstrating the hypothesis of the animals being practically blind. In the long run, they view an ongoing that appears to be the principal water stream, which ought to get them outside. However, they don't know whether it's protected considering the animals. Jack concludes they ought to begin climbing the walls and Charlie volunteers to go first. In any case, Jack turns her down, saying he and Tyler have this. As they prepare the hardware, Catherine lets Tyler know that Jack is too wiped out to even think about driving, which is above Jack. Charlie exploits their being diverted to begin climbing first, moving masterfully rapidly to arrive at an edge in a matter of minutes. At the top, Charlie can feel a draft, and the others prepare to follow her. Anyway, when Charlie glimpses further inside, she finds a monster bat-like animal that thunders at her. Charlie quickly steps back and sneaks off the edge, making her fall and be oblivious for a couple of moments. Fortunately, the rope holds her up and when she awakens, she finds the monster is coming after her. The group starts chipping away at getting her down, however they aren't quick enough, so Charlie starts swimming her rope as she utilizes her flamethrower to keep the monster under control. Once she has sufficient force, Charlie cuts the rope and bounces on the adjoining wall, believing she's at long last safe. Tragically, the animal can fly and promptly hops on her to begin going after her. Consequently, Charlie attempts to protect herself and utilizes her flamethrower to light the monster ablaze. The animal falls dead, however, Charlie passes on too, unfortunately. After the group recovers Charlie's body, they notice Jack is looking altogether different. His students are scheduled and his skin is pale. Catherine at long last understands the parasite entered Jack's body through his injuries and he's evolving like different creatures and individuals that were here previously. Tyler attempts to safeguard his sibling and his choices, yet Catherine, Alex, and Briggs choose not to pay attention to him any longer and take the primary water stream they saw before. Then Jack, Tyler, and Top move up the wall since the passage is protected now that Charlie killed the animal. Before long they arrive at a precarious frozen precipice, and Jack chooses they need to go down. Tyler slips and scarcely figures out how to arrive on an edge, yet his rebreather falls and hits Top, making him slide down and hurt his leg. The rebreather slides down and makes an opening in an ice wall, uncovering another cave. The threesome researches the region and tracks down loads of skeletons in middle-aged shield, affirming Nikolai's story. More profound inside, Jack tracks down Sunshine under the murmuring water, that is on a mission to mean. Unexpectedly Jack starts feeling wiped out once more. Be that as it may, he disregards it and advises their companions to leave while he looks for the others. Tyler declines to acknowledge this plan since Jack is debilitated, which drives Jack so crazy he nearly begins a battle. Top quickly stops him and persuades him that Tyler is the one who ought to search for the others. In the interim, Catherine and the others are preparing to swim, however, Briggs hears an animal drawing nearer. He advises his companions to take off while he lights a flare, yet the monster isn't at any rate frightened and goes after him. Simultaneously, Jack and Top are tracked down by an animal as well. They move far removed before they can get injured, however, when the monster flies by it takes one of their rebreathers. Back to Tyler, he clears his path through the water while overlooking the eels, and when he re-emerges, he finds his group's gear shrouded in blood. Then, at that point, he hears shouting and follows it to find Briggs being removed by the monster. Tyler slithers through the hole to attempt to save him, however it's past the point of no return. The beast has speared Briggs on the cave rock formations. Before kicking the bucket, Briggs lets Tyler know that Catherine is more profound in the passage and gives him his pickaxe. At that point, the beast appears and Tyler starts taking off through the passage just to track down another animal on the opposite side. Fortunately, he likewise finds Catherine, who utilizes the sonar to send solid sound waves that drive the animal off because the sound is their shortcoming. The team escapes together until they track down a waterway, and they bounce into it to swim away as they share Tyler's rebreather. They need to go through a limited entry that makes them lose the rebreather, and Catherine loses awareness, so Tyler has to drag her along to the surface. Because Tyler utilized CPR, Catherine rapidly awakens. At that point they hear a strange sound, however, it ends up being Alex, who cautions them the beast is coming after him. Tyler finds an ice vein and accepts it interfaces to the one Jack found before, so the triplet quickly starts climbing. Minutes after the fact, they track down the sinkhole with the skeletons and rejoin with Jack and Top. The animals are hanging from the roof as though sitting tight for something, meaning they need to pick up the pace. They don't have enough rebreathers regardless of whether they share, so Jack concludes he'll recuperate the one the beast took. The remainder of the gathering moves towards the water just to slip and drop a rebreather, which makes enough commotion to grab an animal's eye. Alex utilizes the sonar to keep the animal under control, however it begins dampening cave rock formations that fall on Alex and hurt his leg. Tyler attempts to return to help him. Be that as it may, the beast arrives first and kills Alex. Another animal methodologies them from the water. So Top and Catherine take a stab at stowing away to keep away from its echolocation. At any rate, the beast finds them. Also, it won't leave in any event. When Top hits it with the rebreather, Tyler hops in and kills it with a cleaver. In the interim, Jack takes off from a third beast and climbs a wall to recover the last rebreather, which he arrives at in the wake of stirring things up around town to make it fall. More animals are coming, so Jack throws one of the tanks to his sibling and places a flare in the other to throw it in the water. The tank detonates and the entire cavern starts shaking, diverting every one of the beasts except one. That animal flies toward Jack, who bounces on top of it and brings it down into the water as a penance to help his companions. Before the cavern disintegrates, Tyler, Catherine, and Top swim towards the light and figure out how to securely arrive at the outside at long last. Occasionally later, in the city, Tyler expresses farewell to Top before meeting with Catherine at a bistro. He ponders the event that Jack might have made due to outside thinking about his transformation, yet Catherine doesn't know any longer. In the end, we see that as she kisses Tyler on the cheek, she makes sense of how she thinks the parasite needs to emerge, and Tyler takes note. Her understudies are changing as Jack did. Then Catherine disappears, and a scared Tyler attempts to pursue her to prevent the parasite from assuming control over humankind, yet he loses her in the group. Hope you enjoyed it. Thanks for watching.